State College, the football team, is here today. Head coach Matt Lintal with us in studio. Defensive lineman, tight end. He basically can do it all. Stephen Scourtis will be joining us momentarily. Coach, we want to thank you so much for your time today, joining us live in studio for the next half hour right here on ESPN Radio.
Really glad to be here, guys. Thanks. It's great seeing your faces here and getting back talking football again.
Yeah, getting back to a little bit of normalcy, and I know that we'll have an extended conversation about that probably for the second half of it. The first half, it's really to reflect on what an incredible 2021 season that State College was able to put together. ESPN Radio along for the ride. Mark Snarter, Jason Lord. We talked about it. Jason, you and I talked about it quite a bit on the show, of course, following the team. We did the weekly interviews over the phone. When you look back on the season, I guess just to start, what really jumps out in your mind?
I think it was a season really defined on resiliency. Our kids found a way to get better and better each and every game, each and every play. And we really peaked at the right time of the season. So we went through a lot of struggles early on, just with some injuries and some young kids out there on the field. And they just kept battling, kept trusting in each other, and taking coaching from our staff, and they just continued to progress and trust the process, and it really paid off in the end.
And it was difficult because State College didn't have an immediate answer at quarterback. And in some cases you can get away with, but it's very few. And in the NFL, we're kind of seeing the way that you need a quarterback if you want to get to the Super Bowl. Well, you need some foundation at quarterback to make it through high school and in college. Some running teams get away with it, but State College began to adapt and adjust. And what really went into that when you started to make the changes on offense and finding the right components?
Yeah, we tweaked a lot of things. As you said, we started out the first game of the year. We played three different quarterbacks and kind of rotated through those guys. Three quarterbacks that I would be really pleased to have in any given year, and unfortunately they're all in the same graduating class.
Yeah, they're all back.
And they're all back, which we're very, very blessed with. So, and then a fourth guy emerged as well, Owen Yurka, who kind of finished off our season, but Finn Fermanak kind of took the reins early on, and then Ian Brandt and Jack Morris, really contributed as well. And then Owen Yurka, as our offensive line continued to develop, and guys like Stephen Scourtis at the tight end spot, we became more of a ground and pound team throughout the playoff run. In those last really two games of the regular season, we kind of changed the emphasis up front, and Owen really managed the game exceptionally well. From that quarterback spot. So excited to have all four of those guys, potentially returning on the roster and out there contributing in multiple spots as we did throughout the last year.
Yeah, the name of the game for State High football became ground and pound, control the pace of it, and really good defense. Jason, I want to, cue you, and of course, being the co-host here, you saw the game. You saw every game unfold in person every time, so you have a better understanding of this, of course, than I do with Coach Lintal.
Yeah, I go back to that. I think there was that 3-game stretch there. You talked about the last 2 games. There was that stretch. He had that road game with CD East. Then he had Central Dauphin, which was obviously a tough game. But then that second half of that game, I just felt like it was a different team from there to Cumberland Valley to Harrisburg to Altoona at home, right to the playoffs. Was there something in that second half that you felt like kind of clicked with this team that really it became just a different team all the way to the playoff run?
Yeah, I think, again, it was one game at a time, one kind of progress at a time where we just kept building. We certainly saw flashes throughout in that CD game. I agree. We saw some flashes. The Carlisle game, we really started to dominate up front and let that one slip away. Cumberland Valley, is tough on a slippery grass field down there. But our guys really still controlled things up front. And then I really think the major turning point for us was going into the Harrisburg game. We were playing I believe they were the number 2 team in the state at the time. Nobody picked us on paper to have a chance. We had come off of 3 games that we had just lost, and so we had that opportunity to go down there and really revamped our game plan. So that was an exceptional experience, just to walk into having our kids just believe that we could go out and when we walked off that field, even though we lost a tight one, we went for 2 to try to tie it up at the end and just missed that. But we lost a tight one, but we gained so much from that experience. And that really led us into the playoffs and then gave us that kind of redemption victory over Harrisburg later on, about 4 or 5 weeks later.
Jason Lord, Zach Seyko, your co-host of PA Prep Sports Breakdown. Senior defensive end, tight end, Stephen Scourtis joining us in studio along with head coach Matt Lintal of the State College football team. Stephen, thank you so much for joining us. To fill in some of the listeners that have tuned in along as well, we are recapping and previewing the State High football season from 2021 now into 2022. Stephen, same thing I led off with Coach. What has been kind of the first thing that you think about when reflecting on the 2021 season?
Yeah, of course, and thank you for having me. One of the biggest things that season was the work ethic of our whole team. I feel like the thing that really, separated us from lots of the other competition down the road was the fact that every single player on our team has a role on the team. And no matter what it is, every single person on the team is meaningful and they have a role that is important to us. So no matter what grade they are, what level of experience they're at, I feel like that's what really pushed us all the way to where we got in the semis. And I couldn't be more thankful for the seniors last year that helped lead that path for us and, help guide us to make a really good run that year. And hopefully we can beat it this year. So that's the goal.
I've asked this quite a bit to Coach Lintal, to fellow teammates, particularly one, Brady Bendick. You mentioned the senior group that was so influential. Having that point of the season where you're under 500, people around the Pennsylvania high school sports media begin to doubt this team and say, well, the season's a wash. It's a tough mid-pen. Good luck next year. I want to hear from you, your perspective on how did you take that in personally? How did the group take that in to use that as motivation?
Oh, of course. We used that as motivation, especially I think the Harrisburg game was huge for us. And I remember Jacob Will, he's one of our photographers and videographers for the team, and he's amazing. He actually included in the video my D-line coach, Coach Galuza, listing off every single prediction for that game. It was every single one against State College. And not that we knew deep down, we believed in ourselves, our families believed in us, but there's a lot of doubts, especially at that point in the season where other people, and based on our record, it didn't seem like we were going to go as far. So I think lots of us took it to heart and trusted each other because it was a long season. We worked for it in the off season beforehand, and I think believing in ourselves and having that trust for one another really helped us use that as motivation to overcome any of the predictions that were before. So I'm just happy that we could have gone that far and we did as well as we did. And hopefully, like I said, this year state title is the goal, like every single year. So hopefully we can do even better this year.
And State College was right on the doorstep. How battle tested did you have to be? Now, we heard the coach's perspective of making all the changes because it's not necessarily question marks at quarterbacks, but the second you had an answer, it disappeared because of guys who were available on the field. And that was the case for other position groups as well. I would include defensive line in that. So to go from a team that wants to stretch the field a little bit offensively and just be basically a speedy team in a sense, not necessarily a run and gun, up-tempo, no huddle type of team, but one that controls the pace from a faster gear to go to this ground and pound, slow, we're going to manage the clock and really just give headaches that way. To go from one philosophy to almost the complete opposite. How does a player and the other ones around you have to adjust to that?
Exactly. I think the biggest thing was we trusted our coaches, Coach Lintal and every single position coach that we have on the whole entire staff is on board and they're on the same page. And that's what, we helped. We just trusted them to give us a game plan that would help us succeed. And if you buy in, which is the biggest thing, we just trust the process. I think that's how we started to change the way we play as we got further into the schedule and play bigger teams and ones that had lots more competition, lots more athleticism. And that's how I think we really tried to utilize what we had on our team, based on what the coaches thought was best to really exceed the standard and just do as well as we could when it came down to the last seconds in Harrisburg at the field goal, and when it came down to semis in the state finals. So I think that's what we really tried to rely on, was the coaches. So huge credit to them.
You talked about really that underdog mentality, I think, that you took, especially really through the whole playoffs. Williamsport, I don't think you guys were respected enough. Delaware Valley, same thing. And obviously Harrisburg. You look now at it, and obviously the loss to Mount Lebanon. What's the biggest thing you learned through the adversity of that year? Also through that mentality of not getting a lot of respect now. What's the biggest thing you learned that you're able to take now into the following year, into 2022?
I think one of the biggest things is to take every game at one at a time. It's always easy to look ahead in the schedule towards really big games, or ones that we really think is going to be a huge rivalry game with lots of competition and everything. But I think one of the big important parts of this season is going to be taking every single game one at a time, focusing on what's at hand, the task at hand, and the next game that we have to play. So instead of looking further into the schedule and worrying about what's down the road, I think the biggest thing is going to be being at practice, being where our feet are, which is what Coach Lintal always preaches to us, and taking one game at a time so we can be successful and hopefully let that lead to a really successful season.
Obviously, you have the football camps. A lot of those, you have the former State College players, and obviously you embrace the history of what this State College football program has brought. What does that mean to you, putting on the State College jersey?
It's huge. There's no other team or no other jersey that I'd rather be putting on, because you can see the history and what other people think about State College football and State College high school. I feel like seeing the fans and seeing alumni come back and talk about what it means to them really, goes a really long way, because the coaches, lots of their fathers, lots of the grandfathers of the players we have now, and even the kids that came to the camp, there's a lot of family and a lot of really close ties and close-knit family with State College football and with State High. So I think how much it means to other people really goes a long way for me. And Coach Lintal lets us know all the time that when we wear State on our chest, whatever gear it is, and even when we're not, we represent the team just like we represent our family and other people that care about us. So I feel like just knowing that so many people care and so many people truly, care about our football team and what we're doing to, succeed, and, how we impact others around us really goes a long way and makes us do our best no matter where we're at, on the field or off.
This is PA Prep Sports Breakdown on State College's ESPN Radio. Jason Lord, Zach Seyko, your host, joined by defensive end, tight end, senior player Stephen Scourtis, and head coach Matt Lintal of the State College football team. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we're going to nominate our athlete of the week and continue our conversation about State High football and preview the 2022 season on ESPN Radio.
Now back to PA Prep Sports Breakdown on ESPN Radio 103.7 and 1450. Time for the guys to nominate the athlete of the week.
All right, we're not going to go too far outside the State College realm here. We do have the football team in studio with us, head coach Matt Lintal and senior player Stephen Scourtis. We're going to also pick from the same high school, and that is former baseball player, outfielder. He's currently at Virginia Tech. He's also now on the United States National Collegiate Baseball team, and that is Jack Hurley.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. The job Jack has done this year throughout, no doubt about it. I think he is very warranted of that award. I think he may have gotten it once this year, but it's okay. You can be the MVP multiple times. It happens in pro sports. It's only fair that it happens at all levels.
Yeah, Jack, a very talented athlete. Didn't get his senior season with State High, but has kind of reinvented himself a little bit to make himself even better, if you can believe that. And now doing good things on the national stage, had batting over 350 for Virginia Tech this past season, and double-digit home runs, and he'll be a junior coming up in the fall. Again, we are joined live in studio here on PA Prep Sports Breakdown with senior player Stephen Scourtis and head coach Matt Lintal. Coach, we're excited to get your perspective again. I know we went away from you in the conversation. We started with you, and we're gonna get back. But the first question I want to ask Stephen, now going into 2022, this one's a little more personal. It's how many college offers are you up to at this point?
I mean, right now I'm up to 24.
Wow.
And this part of the process, it's been really exciting, and I couldn't be more grateful for all the opportunities I have right now. It's been really exciting, and like I said, at this point, I'm hoping to start narrowing down my decisions. So it's not set in stone. I've talked to Coach Lintal a lot, and he's been a huge help in the process. But that's where I'm at right now, and it's super exciting, and I couldn't be more grateful for it.
Yeah, your fellow senior teammate Michael Dincher's getting a lot of offers and recognition as well. J.W. Scott, who's the son of John Scott, on the Penn State defensive line head coach. So these guys, your fellow teammates and yourself, are no strangers to the next level. But what has the recruitment been like? Maybe not necessarily by one school, but just kind of taking it all in, that, hey, like, people are recognizing me beyond what I've done in high school at this point.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, starting after New Year's, in January, that's sort of the time where it started to kick up for me. And before it did, I really wasn't knowing what to expect, because it's the first time for me, and I don't have a older brother or sister that has been through the process, or any family members. So I was a little nervous for it, but as it went on, I was calling coaches, and I was sending emails in the very beginning of the process, and then it started picking up from there. So like I said, I couldn't have done it without Coach Lintal, my other coaches. They were with me throughout the whole process, and most importantly, I couldn't have done it without our team, because that's what matters most to me right now. Even though it's exciting, and I'm really looking forward to where I might be at the next level, I'm really focused on this season, just like all my teammates are, and we're all buying into what we're going to have this season. So once again, it was super exciting, and I'm hoping to narrow down my decision sometime this month or before the season. So that's where I'm at.
You just had football camp here, youth football camp. Obviously, want to get both your perspectives on this. Number one, what did it mean to you? Obviously, you're talking about the college visits. Those are the kids several years from now be going through the same thing. What does it mean to you, obviously, to be able to mentor them, and also to you as well, Coach, to have that chance really to see really what is the future of this State College Little Lion football program?
Yeah, I'll step in here. It was a great process. We had a 3-day camp here, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This past week, we had over 100 kids come out. Not just State College kids. We had kids from Bellefonte and Mifflin County and Penns Valley and Bald Eagle as well. It was a really great event. And again, I couldn't have done it without kids like Stephen and the rest of the guys out there, and our coaching staff and our booster family. Everybody just pulled together and we had a tremendous event. The relationships that were formed in that short time together between the young kids and our current players was just incredible. And when we can have kids that are demonstrating not just the football skill set, but who they are character wise, and setting that example, and guys again like Stephen and his teammates that can just be tremendous role models for how to live your life both on and off the field. That makes my job a lot easier. So I'm very grateful for all the help that we had.
You look at, obviously, into the we'll talk 2022 season as you get into it. Obviously, it's always the James Franklin mentality. You look to go 1-0. You don't even think about that next opponent. But how much tougher is week one, just knowing that you have – you're almost thinking about it now, where you have that opponent, Williamsport. You really have several more days to think about Williamsport than you do Downingtown East. You have that long stretch, obviously off season now, and really week one, it's kind of like having that first pick in the draft, where you have so much time to think about who you're going to pick. Is it the same? Obviously, the preparation is week to week is the same, but how much tougher is it for an opponent week one than it is through the rest of the year?
Yeah, I'll say what especially makes it tough this year is Williamsport has a new coach. So you're not sure schematically what they're going to be running on either side of the ball or in special teams. And So just to kind of try to get as many nuggets as you can there to see, what you can find out. That's always a help. So, but there's so many unknowns there that we really always try to focus on the things that we can control and the things that we can know and want to dominate them. So in the off season, we're really focused on us, trying to make sure we do what we do and do it really, really well. And so we build in that competition within our practices where, we've got good on good, 7-on-7, good on good teamwork, where our kids are competing, and they're matched up against the very best guys across from them. So, and we really try to match up our talent levels from, JV versus JV and varsity versus varsity as much as we can. And obviously for some different teach periods, we slow everything down, but trying to create that competition and really focus on us is really, I think, what has helped us, to be successful in those opening weeks of the season.
This is PA Prep Sports Breakdown. Coach Lintal and Stephen Scourtis joining us from the State College football team. Jason Lord and myself, Zach Seyko, your co-hosts. The 2022 schedule is very identical, except the annual contest between Mifflin County, the Seven Mountains rivalry, that one going away just because State College and Mifflin County are in a little bit of a different level when it comes to programs right now. But a very identical schedule now, opening up with Williamsport and the new head coach, as you mentioned, and finishing with Chambersburg on the season. To have kind of some of the games flip around here and there, but Downingtown East is back on the schedule. Harrisburg's in a similar spot towards the end of the season. Carlisle, is the schedule any more difficult or challenging than it would be in years past, given that the opponents are basically, you just know you're getting them every year?
Yeah, I think the one really nice thing with the schedule is that Altoona is happening earlier in the conference play. So I believe that's week 4 for us, or game 4 for us. So, knowing that there's a good chance of playing them later on as well, having that time in between, I think is really helpful. That
not back-to-back.
Not back-to-back weeks, which makes it really, really difficult it's hard beating a team twice, especially back-to-back weeks. So I think this bodes well for both of us and creates a more fair matchup at the end of this season should we happen to be matched up again. So.
Stephen, for you to swap out Mifflin County in exchange for Williamsport, I see this as kind of the same thing with Altoona. It's beneficial from a point of you get to see them, and Mifflin County's that same thing as well, being in the District 6, 6A playoffs, if they're able to meet the bar and crack into the playoffs. But for you to get away from that historic rivalry and basically either renew or just kind of continue to build one, we know you're graduating, but to kind of set that, hey, this is the big game to start the season here at Memorial Field. Do you like those expectations and the way it's setting up, or is there going to be something missed by not playing Mifflin County this year?
No, of course. I'm really excited to play Williamsport. I know Mifflin County, it's always been tradition for sure with the bucket, as all of our players love to call it. But even though we're not going to be playing them this year, I'm still really excited to start off the season with Williamsport. They were a great team last year. We really had a good game. It's going to be interesting as they have a new coach, but either way, we're still going to do the best we can to prepare for the game and work as hard as we can leading up to the season. So we start off with a successful win and, hopefully it just dominoes effect all the way through the season.
And that was a close one to finish the season, 17-14. Yeah. That playoff run doesn't happen without that first win in districts. Is there anything that's going to be lingering from that game going into this season?
I think that, lots of the seniors are, upperclassmen are going to be on the field most of the time. So even though there will be some players that are familiar, and actually a lot of players that are familiar from both sides, it'll be a little bit of a, new start that we have a new senior class on each team. And once again, we're going to bring the same amount of energy and the same amount of juice, as Coach Palooza always says, to the game. So I'm really looking forward to it. I know our coaches are, and I know that our whole team's going to be prepared once the time comes.
You look at the schedule early in the season, and we ask you this as well off air, Coach. How much does that unknown prepare you for the potential unknown that's going to be later in the season?
Yeah, I think you're always trying to create those moments of uncertainty and helping your kids to navigate through those moments and hopefully find success. But even through failure, that's often the best teacher. Sometimes it comes on a single play. Sometimes it comes with a loss in a game, and but a lot of times learning to live and kind of manage through and push through that adversity. As I said last year, we built that resilience throughout the year and throughout the struggles, and that certainly, without that, we wouldn't have been the team that we became at the end of the season. And hopefully we can carry that same mentality into this coming year without having to go through those struggles as much and be victorious, but still understand that every play is important. Every play, it comes down to every individual doing their job to help the team be the best that it can possibly be.
Coach Lintal and Stephen Scourtis joining us here from the State College football team. Coach, we've talked about the schedule, 2022 and 2021, a successful year, going to the semifinal, meeting some very tough opponents along the way. Now you have that target on the team's back, and I guess that I want this question to be posed to both of you. With that target on the back, rather than being the underdog, the underlion, in a sense, and sneaking up on opponents, now everyone's going to circle back and circle you guys on the schedule. How do you adjust to that? How do you temper those expectations? Coach, we'll start with you.
I think that's a place we're pretty familiar with. We have been, I think, a team that has been circled on a lot of our opponent schedules. We have some great rivalries within our conference, and certainly I believe that we've earned their respect, and a number of teams have certainly earned ours. So, we're used to being in those positions, and again, I think it comes down to whether you're the favorite, whether you're the underdog. We don't talk about it a whole lot. We did in that Harrisburg game because we needed a little extra motivation. It was different, and we were at a different point in that year, especially early on in the season. No one cares. It's a show up and play the game, and let's see where we are, because rankings and potential. They never finish the season. It's all about one game at a time, one play at a time, and just that mentality of, all right, we got to go out and get this job done right now.
And Stephen, what's the player's perspective on that?
Yeah, of course. I think exactly like Coach Lintal said, we treat every opponent with the same amount of energy and the same importance as far as who we're playing, and no matter where it's at, if it's home, away, or whatever team we're playing. We're going to treat every opponent the same, and we're going to try our best to win each week and be successful. So like Coach Lintal said, I think that's one of the biggest parts of the season. We take one game at a time, one play at a time, and that's been the best part of how we're successful each year. So, yep.
Coach, I know that you could go up and down this roster and name everybody and why, what talents they have and where they work hard the most. And you brought Stephen in here for a reason. I know you could have selected a dozen other players to join him as well. I wish we had that many microphones. But and it's been great to talk with Stephen. But who are some of the other names that fans, whether it's just of state high football or in general of Pennsylvania high school football, that should be on the radar for when the season rolls around?
Yeah, for sure. A couple of those names you already mentioned, and Michael Dincher and Thomas Dincher up front. We also have John Brighton and Logan Melito, who are two of our other offensive linemen. So four of those guys are returning up front. Finn Fermanak and Ian Brandt and Owen Yurka and those guys coming back they're working tremendously hard this offseason. Dante Nastasi has grown tremendously. And really just worked extremely hard, running routes, catching balls, being in the weight room. So I'm super excited to watch his growth and potential really come to fruition this year. Defensively, we've got a couple young linebackers in there that I saw a lot of time last year, but Michael Gall, who is a returning 10th grader, Eli Espinoza, who will be a junior, and Will Stone, who will be a senior. And Will has been dynamic this offseason with tremendous work ethic and really just he is set to have a tremendous year. So there's a lot of names. Justin Castro-Dixon on the defensive line. Obviously, J.W. Scott. He and Stephen Scourtis here were our captains last year, and they'll be two-time captains for us. That doesn't happen on a 95-man roster often. So to have those two guys coming back that are multi-year captains, it makes my job easy when I can sit here next to Steven, who has a 4.5 GPA, and he's in National Honor Society, and he's doing everything right on and off the field. And again, when your best players are also the guys that set the example and are the hardest workers, it makes a coach's job, much, much easier. So I'm forever grateful for these guys and for, everything that they've done and everything they'll continue to do for this program and our community.
And for those who are curious, yes, Harvard and other Ivy League schools have offered Stephen based on that 4.5 GPA that Coach Lintal just dropped.
Hey, when in doubt, no matter where you choose to go to school, you could 25 years from now say, hey, Harvard called me.
Right. Yeah. It's like I said, it's every opportunity has been, a blessing, and I couldn't thank the team and all those names that Coach Lintal just listed, and everyone else, every single player that we have on our roster. I couldn't thank them enough for helping me, succeed and be in the position I am today as well. So I'm really looking forward to where that process goes as well, and where our season's going to end up as well too. So it's all been really exciting, and once again, I couldn't be more thankful for it all.
Jason, do you have anything else to add? I got one more question in the bank before I let them go to practice.
You're good. They answered everything I asked.
Yeah, and there's plenty more I could ask here, guys. But it's the kind of this to put a lid on it on our conversation. I know we'll have follow-up conversations throughout the season, which is I appreciate your time today, and then I'm already going to say thank you so much for it in the future, especially when the season picks up. But just kind of describe what the blueprint looks based on the conclusion of the 2021 season, knowing that last year's team, with all the talent that's coming back, made the state semifinals. That state championship is definitely on the minds of everybody. How the blueprint has adjusted through between the pandemic changes and how things we're getting back to normal, but not all of the team knows what normal is. So kind of wading through all those challenges from both the coach and player perspective. Coach Lintal, what does that blueprint look like now in 2022?
Yeah, again, and you kind of nailed it. Stephen is one of the few kids in our program that has actually seen what a normal year looks like. So Stephen came up as a freshman, and so he's been with our program for a long time. And so most of our team has played high school football through COVID, and COVID here, for about a year and a half, we didn't have a weight room, during this time. And I'll say there's been a huge change in that area. So we're super blessed. Diane Swager is our strength coach, and she's amazing. And also Matt Bainey. Matt played, a familiar name here, played at State High, played at Penn State, was a strength coach at Kennesaw State and Appalachian State in Bucknell before coming back. He's our linebacker coach. He does all of our speed and conditioning work and works with Diane in the weight room as well. And we're just so blessed to have those two really guiding our off-season program. And it's not just the work ethic that our kids are learning each and every day, but it's got a scientific background, and it's built on just progression that me as a coach and as a school counselor, it's not my background. They're the experts and the head coaches in that area, and so we're very, very grateful for them. And they've set the tone for our kids. Going into the summer, it's just been tremendous so far, and obviously we're just kind of gearing up here as July hits, and getting a couple of our mini camps going and some practices a couple times a week. But the kids are really committed to the weight room, and we're in there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and kind of give them the weekend off to go participate in other football camps and have some family time and things as well. So but we're excited for August to hit, and really looking forward to getting back at it.
Stephen is that 4-year varsity player, so you're one of the ones that know best what needs to be accomplished by the players to meet the coaches halfway to get that blueprint done right and for the season to be a big success.
Yeah, of course. Right now, like Coach Lintal said, we've been in the weight room Monday through Thursday, and you can see just the amount of emphasis that everybody's putting on the season, how much every single player is buying in. It's getting really exciting because everybody's working as hard as they can, and you can tell that every single player that's showing up is really trying to do their best to better themselves and better the ones around them. So it's been really exciting to go to the workouts, see everybody improve, and hopefully see that pay off once the season comes around. And once again, like Coach Lintal said, going into my freshman year, that was pretty much the only other normal year that I've had in high school, because sophomore year went by and junior year went by in a flash after COVID came. So it's crazy saying that right now, thinking that I'm a senior all of a sudden. It just feels like I was in a time zone. It flicked on right now. So senior year's here, and I couldn't be more grateful to help lead the team and set a good example. But lots of the other players are doing exactly that. So I'm excited for it. I know the coaches are too, and we can't wait for the season to start.
And we're excited to follow along. Senior captain Stephen Scourtis and head coach Matt Lintal of the State College High School football team joining us live in studio here on PA Prep Sports Breakdown. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time again.
Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it, guys.
Thank you very much.